Okay, we're back.
All right, let's get this party going.
And we are back, we are live, and we are now on to Angela's discussion item. Yeah, 2 minutes on the clock starting now.
So my overall question is asking the board and CUS should be handling circumstances where any service or club that needs money that was previously not expected should be dealt with. And some of the context is that recently there have been changes in the awards night budget, and that there was, in first 2 rounds, there was an item for goodie bags. However, it was not contained in the 3rd round. They were not given any information why it disappeared, and so they were expecting money, but budget at the time did not allocate money. Because of so, executives decided to vote to give awards as much money as a certain amount of money that has yet to be decided, coming from any remaining money they have within their own portfolios, and be pooling this and giving it directly to awards night. And before, when there were times where money came up from other conferences or other areas that needed additional funding during the year, it would have came out of SPF. And at the time, SPF was misused in a sense where it would go towards paying these conferences, etc., instead of actually this unforeseen circumstance of money, instead of actually funding new projects. And so my question about this even having a budget line item is it's kind of like a moral hazard question. Is that does it incentivize bad budgeting? If we have a line item that a clear item specifically for times where there are unforeseen circumstances, does that mean people have a less incentive to do good budgeting because they can now fall back on this line item? Or is and finally, what should this line? Should there be a line item? Who would enforce in general transfers of money that are of such large amounts? And finally, I'm just raising this perhaps as a budget line item. This is not necessarily the only thing I'm considering. I just think that any transfers of money like this should be very transparent and up to the board and not executives to decide. Those are my 2 minutes.
Awesome, thank you. I saw Jacob, then I saw Chris. Thank you, Angela. Very well put. Jacob.
So to my understanding, after having a meeting with Daphne and for the endowment fund, after my meeting with Daphne and the endowment fund so we discussed having a kind of cushion. So I believe we have $40,000 as a cushion in the CUS for emergency funds, just in case anything is seriously needed and we don't have anywhere else to reach from. I believe we do have that cushion. So yeah.
That was perfectly short and sweet. Thank you. Chris.
Yeah, so we do have that contingency fund of that $40,000. Probably what we want to do is figure out some general guidelines of when we use that money, because that was the biggest question for exec is this an appropriate case to use that money, or is that we're being sued and we need a lawyer? Do we constitutes using the contingency fund? So I think setting better rules around that would make that fund actually useful, because right now it kind of sits there and we don't want to touch it. And then the other thing I think that would help address this is that if we've got budget committee or some group, maybe it's the board itself, to just go reconcile our budget at the end of term 1, so we can figure out, because the biggest thing was we wanted to give this money to awards night, and each exec had to go into their own budgets and decide how much money they could allocate from it. And so I think budget committee needs to get together and at the end of term 1, figure out, okay, here's actually how much we've spent over our total budget. And this will actually become a requirement by the AMS very soon. They want an update in October of what our current budget is at, and they're gonna want one in March. So those are my 2 kind of recommendations to address at this point.
Thank you, Chris. Phoebe.
Yeah, Chris mostly said everything I wanted to say, but just I think there's a clear difference between an emergency of awards night situation where it was kind of our fault, and then we just needed to give them a certain amount of money where it's an actual emergency, and then I guess that would be us defining what emergency is, or constitute when we would be using money from endowment, because I don't think we should be dipping into that fund every time we're oh, we fucked up and we need some money and it's not in our budget, or it's not a line item. That was just my thought.
And Daphne, and then after Daphne, me, Angela.
Yeah, on Phoebe's point, like, yeah, I do agree with that, and all the things are like raised, and income raised, with the endowment fund. It's good to know that we have like a savings account, but it's not good to use it like basically SPF, like old SPF 2.0, like that's not what I want us to do. And I really want the board to be the one deciding on like what is emergency, what is not emergency, where should we really take this money out from. You guys oversee it, everything. So yeah.
Thank you. Just on my point, maybe I would, I guess, even recommend, so we brought up that 40,000 kind of emergency drastic fund, and then you also in the past dipped into like things like SPF. Maybe my recommendation or thought would be we have a separate line item that we call something like the rainy day fund, where it's like, you know, a minimal, or not even a rainy day fund, but kind of like a holy crap, we have to do something fund, where we have like a minimal amount, like something like $10,000, where if an event like awards night comes up, something that isn't necessarily easily defined, that we can't really come up with guidelines for, because kind of that 40,000 we have now, that's a like drastic emergency, like we're getting sued, we need a lawyer. That's something I think we can more clearly kind of define. And so if we had a separate kind of line item for that, stuff that we can clearly say, if we're getting sued, this is what goes to that, if we, you know, X, Y, Z, but we could also have, you know, a little pocket of change off to the side where we say, if something comes up, it's a little bit hazy, this is what we use the money for. That's something I would recommend, if we don't have that already. Any other speakers on the list? Carissa, I didn't answer.
Oh yeah, I agree with what Phoebe said, like defining what an emergency would be. And also I was wondering on like clarification on like if the board would be deciding it, would they just meet spontaneously to talk about it and then vote on it?
You guys for actual point of clarification?
Yeah. I
So basically moving forward with the whole kind of system we have in place where we're hopefully going to have 2 board meetings a month moving forward. The plan would, the kind of way that we would go about that is we would have to vote on that at the next scheduled board meeting. We couldn't just necessarily have an impromptu meeting unless we changed kind of code and constitution and said this is something we could do ad hoc and randomly. Poco chair, just to add on to that.
Yeah, this is, and I know the joke is if you don't want to get anything done, send it to me. But unfortunately, that's kind of how our organization works. It's like when there's work to be done, it usually goes to a committee. So I'd maybe, like the contingent, when we use the contingency stuff, I think it's better served for like a board discussion to set out some rules. Obviously not at this one, but maybe one in January or something. But then in terms of like this rainy day fund, I could see that maybe folding into like the restructuring of SPF, and without like conference affiliation. Because we're basically like taking that sum of money and dividing it up now.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like within that.
Does that answer your question, Chris?
Yeah.
Ooh, thank you. Then I see Angela's name on the list.
Yeah, I definitely agree that we could have an expense line item if we do have something like that. I think that we should have a specific, not just like the item, but we have like an exact law or the exact like where it lists every single change and have like, this particular line item really scrutinized, really like transparent with this money, because I believe like finances, where's all this money going? Like it's something a lot of our constituents are concerned about, and that this money is very easily abusable if it's so vague, and that we should have every single like, change law and public on a web page in CS.
Very good points. Thank you. So I don't see any of the names on the discussion. Angela, are you satisfied with what's going on, or do you want any action items going forward?
My question is, I'm curious on what the board wants to take this moving forward. It seems that right now a lot of the conversation is from execs. I don't know what kind of motion can be made out of this, but I really want to raise this point. Given
Right.
Like, it's been not too long ago from last time that we was the awards night situation.
I don't know what other people are thinking. This is just a random suggestion. You've kind of heard some of the ideas that were floated around. Maybe we take the time in between now and the next board meeting to kind of hash out an actual kind of motion, something we could actually kind of potentially see we can vote on and then vote on at the next meeting. Cool. Thank you. All right. So the next discussion item is market So I don't know why I said it like that. Marketing portfolio matters.
I know why, 'cause it's been 6 hours.
Because it's 6 hours and I'm exhausted. Yes, before you motion that, the motion that's coming up will be motioning to go have this discussion in camera. And I see the quizzical look, just because of we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So what does in camera mean? That means that if we motion to go in camera, the live stream will go off. We'll be discussing just amongst ourselves. There will still be the time limit, kind of the 2-minute limit, but there will obviously, since we're not on the live stream, be more ability for you to be more candid, more open with your discussion. That's the point of going in camera, so that it's not on the live stream. And then just before you go, I even have myself confusion with this and how we vote to go out of camera. So we'll vote to go in camera now when Satnam puts the motion forward, but then when we're finished with our discussion, the motion that will be put forward is, do you want to remain in camera? And normally we vote yes to things, but in this situation, when we vote to go out of camera, you'll vote no to staying in camera, and then we'll come back to normal board meeting discussion. Does that make sense? Is that clear?
Yes.
Perfect. Evan and Sat.
When it's in camera, everything we talk about is confidential.
It does not go on minutes either. So it's not on minutes, it's not on record. So
All our laptops will go down.
yes,
Shut the door.
shut the door, hold a gun to your head. No.
Oh, vote first.
Yeah, we should use-
We haven't motioned yet. So can I get a motion from Satnam?
Motion to move in camera for marketing.
And this is an okay thing because he is Matt's proxy, so he's technically a board member. So moved by Satnam, seconded by Daphne. All those in favor of going in camera for this discussion, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion carries. We're in camera.
Da, da, da. Oh God, what am I? Hold on. Oh. Hold on, let me. Why is this? Okay. Da, da, da. No, don't do this. Hold on. Da, da.
Yeah.
And the camera. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, Robert
you
says
guys.
that you
We are
I
back.
just turned off my laptop. I'm an idiot. So it's 5-2. Do you think we
Back to
actually
10.
do you actually get do you think we could actually get through everything, or are we just gonna go until we get kicked out?
Give me to 10:30.
Yep.
How do
I
I?
give you to 10:31. No,
Okay.
'Cause I'm just feeling kind of mood right
Oh God. Oh
Yeah.
God. No.
Okay, now I'm
Why
giving
didn't it come down?
now I'm giving you until 10:29.
Here, why don't you do your thing? Yeah, I'll do your thing. I'm gonna do this thing.
No, it's fine. It's just that. Don't stop. I'm gonna break it.
No.
I just need
Wait.
both.
Yeah, okay.
No, I don't know where you're.
Let it go. Watch your head. Okay, with that. Or something. It didn't turn off because it was too hot.
Okay, perfect.
Too hot. You gotta like turn it
Actually,
off.
Daphne.
Okay. Screens.
Okay.
No. Projector.
Um.
You want HDMI.
Yes. Wait.
HDMI. I know
Motion
technology.
defeated.
Yeah. You're beating the
I
buttons.
wanted to.
All I hear is.
Nice.
That hurt my already intense migraine.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry.
Have we started the live stream again?
Is live stream on? Can you see it?
Yes, it is on.
I will turn it towards me.
Yes, turn it towards
Yes, please turn.
Yeah.
Do we know the platform?
No.
No, we can go to.
We're gonna go to 10:30.
10:30.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tag you in this. Just gonna.
Okay. Hello. This is my favorite part. Okay. I stayed through the entire meeting.
Oh my god.
I do.
Um.
Are you good, Natalie?
You zoom in on this, sir?
Yeah.
Would you please don't comment?
I'm sorry, sir.
Here it is. Okay, so welcome to policy passing time. Policy committee has been working to change a bunch of things. We had a meeting in October. A lot of the changes that we made were like typos and stuff. We just can approve those on our own, so we're not going to go through them. There were some material changes though, so I would be interested in having you guys debate and then approve or deny these changes. I already have like the wording lined up for these. I sent you all an email with the change log. It's also on the CUS website if you'd like to do it, posted 48 hours prior, so the public should also have access. For those of you who've never gone through this before, although I guess we did a last board meeting, but you can see the changes here, like in purple. This is just something Microsoft Word does. So you can skip all the changes to the table of contents. The table of contents was updated as we changed stuff. Who knew? Just a brief overview of the changes. One of the things that we did was introduce this new term in our definitions called equity representative. We basically found in all the hiring policy that it would either say like ombudsperson, HR director, HR specialist in a bunch of different places. And so we kind of just removed that ambiguity of what that actually meant and just defined it as equity representative shall be taken to refer to one of the following involved in the hiring of a society position: the ombudsperson, the human resources director, a member of the Human Resources Commission, or a similar entity as appointed by the Human Resources Director. So that would be like if a board member needed to step in to be equity rep.
Is that something we need to vote on as a board?
Yes, we
Can
will.
we do that now?
Yeah.
Any debate on this?
Yeah. So this is the motion. This is the motion. Be it resolved that section 1 of the Code of Procedure be amended as presented. Yeah.
Any discussion and questions, debate on this topic? Seeing none, can I please get a mover for this motion? AJ moves, seconder. Carissa, thank you. All those in favor of accepting the motion as presented? All those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Perfect. So moving on to section 4, this was something brought up by Ryan Krasta and our lovely elections committee. Section 4, if you don't know, has to do with elections. So it was very fitting that they brought up.
It's almost like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's almost like they're the subject matter experts. I think most of this time is just going to be me scrolling. Okay, so 20, yeah.
Do you know the page number? You can type it.
I know I don't know the page.
29.
Well, I'm here now. So so the way that we're going to do this is I'm going to show you all the changes in the section, and then we're going to approve the section. And if there's debate on any one of the sections, yeah. So the first one is instead, like before, we used to tell all the candidates that they had to get photographed by elections, but that's not actually what happens. You just submit a photograph when you apply. So this update is just saying an appropriate headshot as outlined by the elections committee, as opposed to you have to get a photo done by them. That's a typo. A point of clarification that was made was that we simplified the code a little bit, just specifying that posters can only be letter-sized. Before we had this without the letter-sized documents. I'm sorry, that's really small. And then like a whole other section that basically just said you needed letter-sized posters. So we just kind of simplified it. Yeah, that's what we deleted in case you want to. Yeah. And then I guess the biggest change is something that updates what we currently do, which is that policy actually states that we have to have a forum for each society position in elections. I don't know who's the oldest in the room. Have you guys ever had multiple forums for?
No, that's crazy.
Yeah. So this update basically just says we have one all candidates forum as opposed to separate ones for each position. And let me just scroll to see.
Is there any debate on the stuff you've seen so far? Any questions?
Okay.
During the committee meeting,
yeah,
we all agreed like this is what we agreed on. So I think it's the most rational.
Thanks for that, Jacob.
Yeah.
So to confirm, this was the entire committee team, not just Chris.
Yeah, so all the changes I present to you guys have gone through policy committee unless I tell you. Because people can submit changes to policy, but
just confirming. So you guys have seen the motion as presented. You've seen all the changes, Chris?
Yeah.
Can we get a motion?
I motion to accept.
Okay.
Oh, in section 4.
You motion that we accept section 4 of the code procedure as amended?
Yeah.
Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you. Too late. All those in favor? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Cool. Section 5.
Do there.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Oh, yes. So this is something that was asked by HR commission that policy committee looked at. This is about group. What is this about? Eligibility. Oh, actually, no. This is the discussion that we had last board meeting about the idea behind allowing people not in our society to join service council as execs. We had a bit of discussion about like pros and cons of having exec council decide. And from my understanding of what board of directors said, we wanted to switch it so that it's the HR commission's job to make sure that Sauder students get the priority or the opportunity as needed, because we recognize that by the time it gets to exec council, it's really not a fair vote because exec council isn't really ever going to overturn one of their chair's decision. So this just updates that to say approval will be given after consultation with the equity representative involved in the hiring process. Yeah, and that's everything in section 5.
You guys have heard of the proposal. Any discussion, any questions? Seeing none, can I please get a motion to accept section 5 as presented? Thank you, Victor, seconded by Erwin. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
That's what I like to hear.
Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Daphne has a sticker on her lips.
Type it on.
That seems odd.
Okay, hiring policy. So this is the stuff that HR commission came to policy committee about changing. There's just a few fun things. Actually, a lot of these are going to be switching human resources director to equity rep. So that's what that does. That's what that does. That's what that does. This was just a small tweak in the language. Before it said approval for group interviews must be given by either the human resources director or exec council. It was tweaked slightly to kind of showcase that it should be HR commission's job to do this. and then only if needed, like if they're not available, exec council may give approval. Just like a slight tweak in language that emphasizes human resources director's job is to approve group interviews. Equity rep. Typo. Oh, so this was probably the most material change in this section. We had a stipulation about obtaining external information by requesting references from a candidate. We had under this section, the hiring committee may contact past superiors without disclosing that information to the candidate or obtaining the candidate's permission to do so. We found this to be really confusing because this is under the section that talks about getting references from a candidate, which implies that we asked them, right? So it's impossible for us to like not tell the candidate if we're using the references that they gave them. So we just decided to remove that section because the section already implies that we have their permission or we've told them. Any questions about that? No, okay, exciting. I'm sweating. Oh, that's on live stream.
With a close-up of your face.
Yeah, okay, that's everything for section 7.
Everybody's heard the proposal for section 7. Any questions, comments, concerns? Yes. Sapno, if you do that again, I'm going to
Vice Chair of POCO, everyone.
I'm going to slap the Sapno. Can I get a motion to approve the motion as presented? Thank you, Jacob. Can I get a seconder? Erwin!
Erwin seconded again.
Erwin seconded again.
Yes.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, I have 2 things that came through from SBF requests, or SBF committee. So I don't have them written into the language, but I would like your permission to do so. I think I'd probably get a follow-up. I don't know how we should do this. Like, if you're allowed to just like approve these 2 amendments, or if you should approve me writing these amendments and then you look at it in the code again and then actually approve them.
We would have to wait until you've made those changes and then vote on them.
Okay.
So there's nothing we need to vote on now. So
Okay.
just deal with this in policy committee and
For
come back
sure.
to us and we're good.
Cool. Unless you guys wanted to have a discussion on this now.
No.
You know, I think POCO's a great place for this.
Cool. Yeah, then that's everything for me. Wow, that only took 8 minutes.
Not even.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for all your work, and thank you to the POCO committee. Okay.
POCO committee, coolest committee.
All right. The next regular scheduled board meeting is going to be the first. The next board meeting will be the board meeting that occurs after the first exec meeting of the month, as per.
16. No, wait.
No, remember how we changed it a couple of board meetings ago?
Our next exec meeting is December 14th.
December 14th. Okay, so that's when their first next board meeting is.
It's on the 14th.
The 14th of December.
Wait, oh my god.
Wait, we haven't seconded.
Wait, so then we're gonna have a 14th and 16th?
I
can't have them 2 days.
No, that's postponed.
What?
Well, we-
If it's not the time of the exec meeting, it'd be the 16th.
Okay. We will organize this.
We have to have one in December.
Yes.
We have to.
So,
Okay, fill out the
okay,
link to me.
guys, what we're gonna do is I'll send out a when to meet. Either 14th, 16th works best for board members, like in particular, because that's the people who have to vote at these meetings. And so, well, thank you, Sabrina. And so we will figure this out. Not now. Thank you. Then
So we're doing secret Santa.
How about the 18th?
cool.
We're not doing
And
this.
the next regularly scheduled meeting for Becker shall be contingent on the when to meet decided date.
Is TBD.
Okay.
Can I please get a mover to adjourn?
Erwin.
Guys, no, thank you, Aaron. So moved. Can I get a seconder? AJ, all those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye. Any opposed? Sapno, please mark that. He is opposed. Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion is accepted. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Goodbye.
Oh, okay. Wait, did it actually close? No, you didn't. See? Ah,
So stop recording.
it didn't stop.